Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you all for joining us for this conversation focused on economic mobility through community led solutions. First, allow me to thank our sponsors, WK Kellogg Foundation and the Mississippi TRHT initiative. Today, we'll hear from powerful examples of how the Foundation for the Mid South is working with hand in hand with local organizations and schools to break down barriers and expand economic opportunities across our region. Let's begin our conversation by focusing on a practical tool for building economic mobility, individual development accounts, IDAs. We're fortunate to have with us Portia Espy, President and CEO of Mississippi Urban League, a longtime leader in economic justice and community empowerment. Welcome, Portia.
Hi, good afternoon. Thanks for having me on today.
No, I'm so excited that you had a chance to join us. Portia, I want to start. For those who are not familiar with IDAs, can you explain what they are and how they work in practice?
Sure. IDAs, individual development accounts, are basically match savings accounts, and they're designed to help low income and low wealth persons in our community to accumulate a targeted amount of funds to use for a specific purpose. And those purposes most commonly are purchasing a home, forming a small business, or furthering an education. Participants will generally make monthly contributions to an account, usually over a 1 to 4 year period, depending on the program. And their savings are matched by a funder, typically at a rate ranging from $1 uh, for each dollar saved up to $3 for each dollar saved. And the funds are typically held in a savings account. And for some, Cassio, this may be the first experience they've had as an account holder at an insured depository institution. So it's quite important.
Now, from your vantage point at the Mississippi Urban League, what kind of impact have you seen IDAs um, on the lives of families in Mississippi?
Well, the impact has been significant for many individuals who are participating in IDAs. And because it provides individuals with financial education and training to improve their money management and saving skills. It also helps individuals, research shows that it helps individual participants to achieve their financial goals if they're participating in an IDA program, because the program kind of forces you to choose a savings goal. It also is something that pushes people to secondary education, home ownership, and business education. So that impact in itself is significant. It also connects low income individuals to mainstream financial institutions, which I mentioned earlier. And at the Mississippi Urban League, we've heard from participants that they wish that they participated in the financial literacy training sooner, as they now realize things they should have done differently when it comes to their personal financial planning.
Now, you've done a great job explaining what IDAs are and how they impact. Now, we know developing these accounts is not easy, right?
Right.
And there's been some challenges. What has been some of the biggest barriers that need to be addressed in developing these accounts and providing these opportunities to more Mississippians?
Well, overall, and the research shows nationally, and we feel it here in Mississippi with our program, the challenges include funding constraints, also difficulty in recruiting participants, and participants not having sufficient income to make monthly deposits. Also, not enough banks and financial institutions are willing to hold IDA accounts. So, you have people that are invigorated. They love it when they hear, like at the Mississippi Urban League, we do a 2-to-1 match. But if a participant is struggling to have the discretionary funding to put in the account, it's often it creates a hardship for them. During the 2025 Mississippi legislative session, something important happened. Senate Bill 2419 was introduced by Senator John Horn, who's now the new mayor here in Jackson. And that piece of legislation would have created the Mississippi Savings Initiative. designed to benefit low-income Mississippians to build financial stability. Low-income individuals are typically defined for this purpose as household income up to 185% of the federal poverty level and a net worth under $10,000. This piece of legislation would have provided a 2-to-1 match for up to $6,000 per individual participant and up to $10,000 per household. The initial funding of this piece of legislation was supposed to be $1 million. That's what was proposed, and it was to come from TANF, Temporary Assistance for Needy Families. Those funds were targeted for support of this piece of legislation, but unfortunately, this bill died in committee on February 4th of this year.
Thank you for giving us some historical aspect of that bill. And finally, let's talk about equity and access, because I think that what you was kind of alluding to. So how can we ensure that IDAs are truly reaching those who could benefit the most, like opportunity youth, single mothers, and particularly individuals who are re-entering society after incarceration?
Yes. And those are all targeted groups that would benefit from an IDA program. And I think to reach them, there has to be some thoughtful and strategic methodology that's put in place. IDA programs, they need to be related to those individuals that we're trying to target. They need to be able to speak to them where they are. They have to be thoughtfully designed to meet their specific needs, those targeted groups' specific needs and circumstances, which could include components such as flexible eligibility requirements, culturally competent support services for individuals, and partnerships with relevant or related organizations like the Mississippi Urban League.
Thank you, Portia. You've given us a powerful example of how financial empowerment can both deeply be personal and a strategic tool for system change. So thank you for that. From financial empowerment to workforce readiness, our next conversation takes us into a world of skilled training, job placement, and breaking barriers to employment. I would like to welcome Mrs. Willie Jones, the visionary founder and president of DSC Training Academy.
Hello.
Welcome, Ms. Jones. How are you?
Hello, Cassio. Thank you so much. And thanks to Foundation for the Mid-South for having me on today. Thanks for letting us to be part of this conversation.
Okay. No, thank you for joining us. Ms. Jones, let's start with your journey. What inspired you to launch DSC Training Academy? And how has your vision evolved over the time to meet the changes and needs of Mississippi workforce?
Well, back in 2010, Dependable Source Corp, in addition to DSC Training Academy, was launched really to fill a significant need in the state of Mississippi, specifically around transportation. There was not only a shortage in the industry, there was a very high turnover rate for truck drivers. So we became kind of a lifeline for manufacturers, distributors, and motor carriers throughout the South and specifically the state of Mississippi, providing a full breast of resources around experienced truck drivers, and eventually with the training school, also those individuals were retrained to make sure that employers and distributors through all over the state of Mississippi had what they need to really staff their driving staffs.
Now, one of the things we know you as being a powerful advocate for women in transportation, a field where historically has been underrepresented. What kind of progress have you seen in this space, and what still needs to shift to make the industry more inclusive?
Well, we've had some substantial changes, not only in national level, but also in Mississippi on increasing opportunities for women. And I believe one of the most significant solutions to women, especially in the workforce, is making sure that we improve their economic condition. The Department of Labor, of course, have said that women who have families need to be making a minimum of $35,000 a year and more just to keep themselves out of poverty. So many of these opportunities that we talk about, we know research has said that they exist in non-traditional environments where mainly traditionally it has been men. It could be transportation, technology, engineering, construction, manufacturing. Many of these opportunities exist. And our goal is to make sure that we bring awareness to those opportunities for women. But more importantly, Cassio, we have to make sure that we create pathways directly to those opportunities. We have to provide upskilling and training for those individuals. And then how do they get to those trainings? And many of our women are working. They can't take any time off to do training. So we have to make sure that we provide many opportunities for them to get that training. That means providing wraparound services, whether it's supports for childcare or transportation back and forth to the training. We must provide those supports for women because, many times those women have many things that are going on in their life that makes it a challenge for them to get that done. So there's many of opportunities in our industry, specifically in Mississippi's workforce, but we have to make sure that we are providing clear pathways to make that happen. And things are changing. I mean, a couple of years ago, in our transportation school, our percentage of women that were participating in the training went up to 35%. And on a national basis, that was only 6%. So that was a big, big lift for Mississippi.
No, thank you for that. You spoke on the barriers. One of the biggest challenges in our last discussion we heard across the region is making sure training actually leads to jobs. How do you intentionally build bridges between the training and employment, especially for people like single mothers and particularly people who don't have degrees or have a traditional work experience?
And that's so important, Cassio, because when we have to get Mississippians ready for these higher paying jobs and these careers. And so what we do at DSC Training Academy, what we provide and that addresses that particular issue is we provide workforce survival skills. Many of people call those soft skills. We don't call them soft skills because they are so important and significant. But that means issues that impact, a lot of our workforce have different traumas in the environment that they're dealing with or issues outside of their families or communities that they don't have control over. So we focus on communication skills for individuals. We also make it very, very clear that individuals understand what employer expectations are for those particular types of careers. And then we have a unique assessment tool where we sit with individuals and we look at their talents, their skills, what they bring to the table, and helping them make sure that we match those opportunities, those skills, those talents to the particular job or the employer that they're going to be going with. That becomes extremely important for individuals because we know there's a lot of opportunities in transportation and in tech and all those other areas, but folks need to be ready for those opportunities because we want to not only create a career and a job, we want to create sustainability so that whether you are a woman or male or whoever you are entering the workforce, that when you step into that workforce opportunity, it's for long term because that's where the real opportunities are going to come. That's when your economic situation changes, when over 6 months, a year, 2 year, 3 year, 5 year, that you're in that particular job and you're able to continue to grow with the skills that you've amassed from the front.
No, that's really exciting. What has been some of the challenges that some of your students have brought to you that we may not capture on a survey or we may not capture on a report? Like, what are some of the things that in Mississippi that you've seen that your students has brought to your attention that you feel that really needs to be addressed?
Really, a lot of them, of course, focus around economic situations, that whether it be transportation, and a lot of it is situations that even may be going on in their homes. Whether there may be challenges with husband and wife and family issues. It may be issues with even we think about today, even transportation. I mean, you think, well, most people got a car and they can get back and forth to work. That's a big challenge for many, many individuals these days. And a lot of times, because a lot of these individuals are from low income families, or they don't have sustainable income that's coming in on a regular basis, is how do I go to training? How do I get upskilled when I need to be on a job right now so I can pay my mortgage, pay my rent, pay my car payment, get my children to school? Those are the big challenges when we talk about that. And sometimes it's about issues that are happening in the community also, making sure that environments and communities are made whole, that families feel comfortable in their communities and where they live, so they can focus on upskilling and being able to set an action plan for themselves. So there are very, very non-traditional things that are happening with individuals these days that don't necessarily have to be specifically related to income.
No, that's really important. And we know that workforce development can sometimes feel like an uphill climb, but there's also some incredible momentum in the Delta right now. What gives you the most hope when you look at the future work in our region, particularly in the Mississippi Delta?
Because the Delta has such a need, and when we talk about, I know we don't talk a lot about underserved areas, but the Delta is an underserved area, meaning that many times the opportunities don't exist there that it may exist in a county like Hinds County, which is our largest county in the state of Mississippi, or even the Gulf Coast, or even North Mississippi. So what I'm excited about now, especially in the past couple of years, is the leadership in the Delta. Many of those that I sit down with or have a telephone call with, they're saying, we're ready for business, Ms. Jones. And then what I love about the leadership there is they want to look at innovative ways of getting that accomplished. Not just saying, come on and put a building here or put a training center here or those kind of things, but how can we work together with you, whether you are a community service organization, you're an employer, you're workforce development? How can we bring the resources that are already sitting here in the Delta? And there's many, contrary to what people believe, there are tons of resources, and mainly they're people that exist in the Delta that are ready and willing to make things happen. And these are smart leaders that have a real lot of great ideas. So it's not just about us bringing those ideas to the table, is sitting with those leaders that are there and say, what do you have available? How do we expand that capacity? And then how do we to bring what we have to that table to make sure that we are being very, very impactful. And then they know their communities. They know their communities better than we do, and they do amazing jobs at making sure that they understand that community. So I'm excited about the Delta because, as I stated, there's a light going on the highways headed to Delta that's saying we are open for business and we want to work with you. So there's a wealth of community service organizations, women-led organizations that are in the Delta. So there's many opportunities for us to work with that part of the state of Mississippi, because the whole goal, and especially at DSC, Cassio, is how do we expand the employee participation rate in the state of Mississippi, because that's going to benefit employers, that's going to benefit communities, that's just going to make sure that women and families also are economically secure as we get more and more people in the workforce, and not just in any workforce, in a workforce that provides higher paying careers and opportunities where people can be proud of the different jobs that they hold, and that they have an opportunity for growth, and they have an opportunity to use their time, their talent, and their amazing skills that we have in the state of Mississippi for growth for our overall economy for Mississippi.
Thank you, Ms. Jones. Your work reminds us that workforce development isn't just about jobs. It's about dignity, access, and creating pathways where none existed before. So I thank you for the years of work you've done, providing services and training. So thank you. We've heard how community-based organizations are driving economic mobility through financial tools and workforce training. But schools, especially those rooted in the rural communities, are also stepping up in powerful ways. Our next panelist, Dr. Jennifer Wilson, Superintendent of Holmes County Consolidated School District, is leading a bold effort to redefine what career and technical education can look like by opening up school-based resources to serve not just students, but entire communities. Dr. Wilson, how are you this afternoon?
Good afternoon, Cassio. How are you?
I'm good. I really want to, my first question to you is, what really inspired you in your district to open up your doors and career tech centers to adults in the community? And that's not something that we see every day. So what gave you that drive and that vision to do that?
Prior to serving as the superintendent in Holmes County, I served as the superintendent in the Greenwood Public School District. And when I was in Greenwood Public Schools, we started an early learning collaborative. And let me just tell you what that is. That is a partnership between Head Start and the school district to provide high quality educational opportunities for pre-K students. Now, once we started that, we knew we had to bring our parents in. And the amazing thing happened when we brought our parents in. One of the first things we realized that our parents were either unemployed or underemployed. Not all, but a large number of them. But they wanted better for themselves and they wanted better for their kids. So what we did was we reached out to organizations and said, how can you help us? And one organization, we reached out and they opened the door. And what they said to me was, Dr. Wilson, if you have parents that want to get certification, want to get training, we will pay for everything. Their tuition, their books, their transportation if they had issues with that, even childcare support if that was needed. And so armed with that information, we started our first CNA class, and it was comprised of parents of pre-K students. At the end of that year, we didn't have a lot, but we had 10 parents to go through that program and receive their CNA certification. And what was so powerful, Cassio, was one of the male parents said to me, I wish I had started this earlier. And that was phenomenal for me. And that was the impetus to get this started. And so when I got to Holmes County, I looked to say, what do we have in Holmes County? How do we uplift the school district? Because that's where I am. But I do realize to bring up the school district, I got to bring the community as well. So we looked at the resources that we had. We have a career technical center. That is an underused facility in the afternoon. And so, yes, we use it during the day, but how much more could it be used as a hub in the afternoon to help our parents get better educated, get better jobs, get better certifications? And because we can lift up the family, we lift up the schools. So that's how we got started, and we are moving in that direction.
That is such a powerful shift in the mindset, especially when we look at school districts, treating schools as community hub and in spaces.
Yes.
How are you making sure underserved and unemployment adults, such as opportunity youth and people returning from home from being incarcerated, know about your programs and accessing those training opportunities?
There's a song out there called Boots on the Ground that everybody knows about.
I think everybody
knows that. But we utilize that particular model in terms of we have boots on the ground. We go to where the parents are and where not just parents, but it's adults in this case, whether that's putting flyers in school, in businesses, whether that is going to churches, whether that is social media, whether that is word of mouth. We find out where our folks are and we go there and we present to them what we are doing. And that has pretty much worked for us more so than anything. And then the access. The beautiful part of access is that we meet their needs. Most of our parents could not, and I'm talking parents, but adults could not come to trainings in the daytime, whether we offered it, whether we had whatever. But they could come in the afternoon. So not only do we provide trainings in the afternoon, evenings, we provide those on weekends as well. So getting out there, letting them know who we are, radio, social media, Facebook, any platform that we think that we can reach them, that's where we're going. But then we make it where they don't have any excuse. If they have the will, we're going to find the way. So that's pretty much what we are doing in terms of outreach. And we're looking at other means as well. But if they're out there, we're going to find them.
That's truly being boots on the ground, Dr. Wilson. So let's talk about impact. For adults who've been participating in these programs, what kind of outcomes are you seeing? You mentioned one of the parents saying they wish they would have started earlier. What are some of the landing jobs, getting certification, moving into additional training pathways? Like, what are you seeing? What kind of impact are you seeing?
We are seeing some significant impacts. I'm going to share with you some numbers in terms of what we have provided. Since I've been in the district since 2021, we have provided courses, certifications for approximately 200 adults. And I just don't say parents, but adults. And that training has been in a number of areas, ranging from auto body to welding to CDL to CNA, sewing, intro to landscaping. It is a gamut of courses and certifications that we've been able to provide. And the beautiful thing about what we are doing is that we're open. We are open to areas that we haven't thought about that they want training in. So if somebody comes to me and says, Dr. Wilson, are you all offering this? I'm going to start thinking, is that something that we need to be offering? Is that something that leads to sustainable wages? And if they have the will to do it, and we have enough individuals that want it, we're going to figure out how to make it happen. If they have the will, I guarantee you, we're going to figure out the way.
And you mentioned figuring out the way a couple of times. Now, one
Yes.
thing that I know that you did, you've been really strategic in funding these opportunities. Yes. Because we know that the district don't get resources from the school district to provide for adults. Mm-hmm. So you've done you went to some legislative, you went to some of your board members in the county. Mm-hmm. So could you talk about that partnership and what came out of that? Because that was really that's really going above and beyond to make sure that these individuals, those classes was able to be paid for.
Yes, we looked at every opportunity that we could find to fund these programs. One way was we talked to our board of supervisors in our county and asked them, you need workforce, you need employees, we can help train them. Let's partner together. You help with the resources, we got the facilities, we've got the materials, we've got what you need. And they did partner with us. And for one of our programs, they're paying half of the cost. For each participant with our organization, and I'll tell you what our organization, when I say that, will pay half and they are paying half. I went to another organization that really targeting females. And I said, hey, we've got some female participants. I need them trained. Will you help train them? And they partnered with us. As a matter of fact, yesterday, we received a Delta Regional Authority grant that we wrote, and it is for workforce development. And we had a meeting yesterday talking about the implementation of that. So if there is an opportunity for a grant out there, I will take on it and I will get it at the end of the day. And I will say to you, and Foundation for the Mid-South has been wonderful with us in partnering with us. But I know at the end of the day, sustainability is the key. So while I may have this resource today, this resource tomorrow, I'm looking down the line, not just today and tomorrow. What am I going to be doing 5 years? And I'm planning with that in mind.
Well, that leads to my next question. Of course, we know expanding career tech education, access to adults comes with real challenges. What has been some of your obstacles that you have encountered, whether around funding, transportation, scheduling, or how you work to overcome those challenges?
I think you were asking me if I had challenges, how did I overcome any of those challenges?
Yes.
Was that the question,
how did you
Cassio?
overcome? Yes, that's the question. Well, look like we'll bring Dr. Wilson back up to ask her that. We apologize for that. I want to thank Dr. Wilson. What she shared highlights how even in districts with limited resources, innovation and leadership can create access to challenges, not just for students, but the entire family. And I would like to, before we close out, I'd love to bring up each panelist back into a conversation for one last final reflection. Dr. Wilson, I want to give you a chance. We do apologize for those technical issues, but I do want to give you a chance first to answer that last question. What are some of the challenges that you've had, and how have you overcome those challenges when it comes to expanding career tech education to adults in the county?
One of the major challenges that we have had to overcome was funding, and I think that will always be a challenge. And a second, and we're working with that. I kind of alluded to that and how we are working with that. Another is transportation, getting to the sites, getting to where they need to be for the training. We figured that one out. We bring the training to Holmes County. If a program can be had at our Career Technical Center, we will provide it there. So mainly, and I'm gonna tell you one other challenge there is getting into the mindset of our participants to realize you can do this. That they may have had bad experiences when they went through school, but this is a whole new day. We are there to support them. We're not going to let them fail. We are their safety net, so to speak. And if they start with us, we're bound and determined to make them finish. So it's just the transportation, the funding, but just building that mindset to say, you're with us and we're not going to let you fail. We are your safety net.
No, thank you. Thank you for coming back. And
Okay.
and I wanna pose a question to each panelist, starting with Portia and Ms. Willie Jones, and back to you, Dr. Wilson. But starting with Portia, can you share how the Foundation for the Mid-South has supported your work, not just financially, but in ways that help you build capacity or even deepen the impact of the work that you're doing across IDAs?
Sure. This IDA program was a dream of ours that came to fruition due to the partnership that we have with the Foundation for the Mid-South. FMS has been a strong partner in this work. You've not only provided essential funding to provide matching funds for participants' accounts, you supported program development and administration, you facilitated financial literacy training for this program, and you've been a critical thought partner in this pilot initiative, because this is our first time venturing into the IDA territory, and what a great partner to have. This collaboration is not simply about funding, which is important, but about building relationships that strengthen this work, as well as our ability to incentivize participants and accelerate asset building. We could not have done this work and served our community members via this important program without this vital partnership between the Foundation for the Mid-South and the Mississippi Urban League. And as my pastor says, it takes teamwork to make the dream work, and I'm a firm believer in that.
Thank you, Portia. Ms. Willie Jones, how have the Foundation for the Mid-South supported your work with transportation, or just the work that you've done with DSE Training Academy?
I think the most successful partnerships that work with the DSE Training Academy is first understanding what our mission and our vision is. And that's to empower individuals in higher paying careers so that they can elevate their economic situation. And Foundation for the Mid-South have done exactly that. They've looked at the work that we do and say, how can we support and how can we contribute? I want to give an example of a project we worked on together to, post-COVID, young 18-year-olds that are coming out of high school has said, I'm not sure if the college route is what I want to do right now. Not that they're not capable, not that they didn't want to go to college, but they said, I'm just not sure what I want to do. And I want to have a job, but I want to make good money. I don't want to have to work at McDonald's. But with McDonald's is okay, but I want to make a higher paying job, and I want to be able to do that. But how do I do that? And the next thing is, certifications, making sure that they get the skill certifications they need and the training they need to be successful for those higher paying careers. So we created an initiative that targeted those individuals from 8 to 20. And our first cohort, which was 13 individuals that were 18-year-olds here in Hinds County, not only does it, were all 12 of those individuals 13 of those individuals graduated from the program, but 12 actually finished and went to work locally here in Mississippi. And then our research showed after the follow-up is those individuals, Cassio, begin salaries of $50,000. That wasn't an estimate. Those were actually numbers they shared with us that said, Miss Jones, here's my first paycheck. This is what I'm working on. And most importantly, not only did they get those jobs and enter those jobs, but when we check back with them 3 months later, 6 months later, many of those individuals, 12 individuals who went to work, also were still in those jobs. That means that they were in a career that they enjoyed, that they had the tools that they required to be successful in long term in those jobs. And that's what we think workforce development really looked like. So having partnerships like Foundation for the Mid-South that really lifts up that work and understand the vision and mission of DSC Training Academy and Dependable Source Corp is so essential. And I think the Foundation for the Mid-South does a great job of not just picking partners, but also sitting with those partners and say, how can we work together? How can we link resources to be impactful for Mississippi? So we're so grateful for Foundation for the Mid-South and the work that you all do. And not only the work you do, but how you do it with partnerships. And we appreciate that.
No, thank you. Dr. Wilson, same question, how have
Okay.
Foundation Mid-South impact the work you're doing in Holmes County?
Okay. I would say the Foundation for the Mid-South has been a partner in our transformation. When I came to Holmes County Consolidated School District, unfortunately, the district was rated an F school district. However, in 3 years, we have moved from an F-rated district to now we are a B-rated school district with 5 out of 7 of our schools rated a B. Now, you say, why am I saying that? I'm saying that because the Foundation for the Mid-South partnered with us in helping us to provide professional development for our teachers. As you know, we do have a teacher shortage out there, and in rural communities, it's even greater. And I sometimes think we are building the plane and flying it at the same time because we're trying to build capacity in our educators. And as a result of the work that the foundation provided and the support that they provided to us, we were able to move the needle academically. Now, we also have received funding from the foundation to help with the work for workforce development. But even prior to any of that, foundation came and we had meetings, and they were very helpful in helping us just strategically plan what is the next step? How do we get to A to B, and being a thought partner with us? I do not believe we would have achieved the success we have as quickly as we have. We were going to achieve it, but maybe not as quickly as we have without the Foundation for the Mid-South work and support and help with us. We are striving to be an A school district, and you all know to be an A school district, you got to have an A school community. And we are working with our parents in order to make that happen. And the foundation is one of the key partners that is on that journey with us. And we truly thank you for that.
No, we thank you, ladies. I know we provide the support, but you all are doing the hard work in the community. So I just want to thank you all for taking your time out for a busy day and having this important discussion with me and the community around how community-led impact workforce development. So I thank you, ladies, and I really appreciate you all and the work that you all are doing. So thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Once again, I would like to thank our sponsors, W.K. Kellogg Foundation and the Mississippi TRHT Initiative. And thanks to the Foundation for the Mid-South, our leadership, our CEO, and our board for being committed to investing in community-led solutions that are rooted in equity, dignity, and long-term impact. I want to also thank our incredible panelists for their time and insight, and most importantly, their leadership. Today's conversation has shown us what's possible when we trust communities to lead, when philanthropy steps in not to direct the work, but to support and amplify it. Whether it's through match savings, workforce development training, or community-led education, each of us is helping to rewrite the story, what economic opportunity looks like in the Mid-South. So thank you all for being part of this important conversation, and most importantly, for expanding knowledge and improving lives. Thank you.